for the next 9 months. I mean, 2 years ago, it's late in the year. If we win, we go to a bowl. If we don't win, we don't go to a bowl. And when you win that rivalry game, we could enjoy it for a good month before the bowl game. When you lose it, it gives you a sick feeling in your stomach for the next 9 months. And no matter what happens Saturday, on Sunday, we're going to have to start getting ready for Temple.
Well, also, it can be used mid-season as a springboard. You win an emotional win over your rival, and your young guys grow up. They finish. You guys finish in a flurry. You have a good season. I mean, the last 10, 15 years we've had this late date. I mean, most years one of the two teams' season's gone down south, and here you are. The other team's maybe going to do something. So it's kind of cool mid-season. Everybody has so much to play for.
Yeah, I mean, it's Game 7. We have the same record. We're still fighting and competing to win a MAC championship, and we don't know what it would be like Week 12 for either of us. But there's no question, this game is a huge game for both teams in our seasonal goals and their team goals. But that's the only part of it that a lot of times when that rivalry game's at the end of the year, you have to live with that feeling then for the next 9 months. And no matter what happens in this game, we're going to have to turn the page on Sunday. So that's good or bad. That's the only thing that makes it a little bit different.
Do you prep for this game any differently? I mean, and, with the game previously being on Friday, you don't have that shortened week, so to speak. You have your normal game week, if you want to call it that point in Toledo.
Yeah, I mean, every game is important for us. So I think if you take and say, hey, guys, this is Toledo week, this is our rival, we're going to practice 15 minutes more. We're now going to practice this. Hey, we're now going to do this. What are you saying, that the other 11 games aren't important? We believe in how we prepare. We believe in how we get our team ready. We believe in how we practice. And we try to do that as well as we can every single week because we want to win every single game. So, is there a little bit more juice in the locker room because of who we play? Without question. Our players know how important this game is to our program. Our former players certainly share it. But at the end of the day, we've got to defend their offense. We've got to attack their defense. We've got to win the battle of the special teams. And that preparation and that film work and that practice, in terms of what we do, you don't change it a lot.
Whether it's Austin Denton or Terrence Owens, I mean, is there any difference as far as preparing defensively?
They're a little bit different, but not a lot. They do a little bit more with one guy and certain other things with the other, but I think generally both of those guys run their offense pretty well. And I probably think that is why I am not a fan of two quarterback systems, but it's working for them. And I think it's working in part because the personality and the dynamics of their offense don't change with either quarterback. They're running the same plays for the most part, and it's working. They're making it work. And both of those guys are playing at a pretty high level. So they're both good players, and I'm sure they feel, with an injury that they're in a better position than most would be. And again, they're both playing really well. I mean, look at them last week. I mean, they both had high completion percentages. They both led their team to touchdown drives, and at different points this year, they've both played at a very high level. So, it's certainly a position of strength for them. It's not like they're going back and forth between two. Sometimes teams do that because neither one's playing well. It's very unique with them that both of them are playing well.
Staying with quarterbacks, your own quarterback, Matt, how do you evaluate the way he's played halfway here through the season?
The thing that Matt doesn't get enough credit for is his toughness. And this is what I think is always challenging as a young player. When you go through a year like he went through last year, sometimes if a guy isn't mentally tough, that can break him. And it made him stronger. And, we had a tough game at West Virginia, but I thought last week, the strike he threw to Kamar for that touchdown was a beautiful pass. He made some big third down throws to keep drives alive. We didn't execute as well offensively as we'd have liked, but, I think Matt's there's no question he's a much improved quarterback from last year, and what's exciting is I think he'll still get better. He's still only a sophomore, but to me his decision-making's better. It was a very point of emphasis last week that we don't turn the football over. And there was one play that we sprinted out. We thought we were going to catch him in the coverage. They weren't in it. He threw the ball 10 yards out of bounds, and I'm coming over and I'm high-fiving him. He's looking at me like, what's wrong with you? I said, I threw it away. Good play. And that, to me, is the sign of him maturing, is that, you know, minimize the win. Defense won. They were in a coverage that defends the route well. We didn't force a ball in there that wasn't there. We didn't turn the ball over on our side of the field. We've got a heck of a punter. Let him kick the ball, we'll change field position. And those are the little things playing quarterback as a coaching staff that we appreciate. When you see those steps and that progress, you know he's improving. And again, I think he'll continue to get better.
Is it kind of misleading when you say that Matt is a sophomore 6 years through, or 6 games through his second year, just because of the injury last year? I mean, I guess I'm looking at the experience-wise. Where
Yeah, I mean, I think he's, started 15, 16 games now.
True, but I guess my point is that a number of those games he was hurt wasn't 100%. I mean, does that hold it back or change it? Or?
No, I think in some ways that helped him. That I think that because he played hurt last year, and the players know that he was going out there when he couldn't even throw the ball in practice and still giving us great effort, I think that's one of the reasons that the players on the team respect him even more and view him as being even not a sophomore but older, because they saw him last year, you know, every week pull himself off the carpet, continue to compete, continue to go hard. So, you know, I think in a lot of ways our players look at him as not a sophomore but as a junior or a guy with more experience, just because as bad as it got last year, I mean, there was no quitting him. And again, sometimes with young players, if you don't have that success, it breaks them, they lose confidence, and it didn't happen with him. I think it made him more determined, it made him work harder, and he has a much better grip on the offense right now than he ever did at any point last year. You know, we go into every game with a much better chance to win than we did a year ago, you know, because of him.
You mentioned Toledo's 2 quarterbacks. The question was asked. You say they're pretty much similar. Are you, not to give away trade secrets, base defense against both quarterbacks or different? Now you can say no, we're not going to.
We're running
give me the stock answer.
Why don't you make the quote and I'll say it, and then you can.
Stock answer.
So whatever stock answer you want, I'll give you.
We appreciate both of their abilities and preparing their defense to deal with both of them.
They're both good players. They both run their offense well, and they do little different things with both of them, but they're not that much different. So it helps from a preparation standpoint that they don't do completely different things. But the way they've played it this year, I mean, you know, T.O. or Danton could end up playing 13 of the 14 series. So you know, you can't go into the game and say, hey, they're going to split series, or it's going to be 2-2 or 3-1. I think they've shown that if one guy gets the hot hand, they kind of stick with him. So you need to prepare for both. And then the other thing is, you know, with all the Wildcat they do with Page and Squally, and you know, they line up. Morgan Williams will take snaps. So if you did a statistical chart of who takes snaps at quarterback, Toledo may have more quarterbacks. I mean, Macon's a good player too. Now, their offense changes when he's in there. You know, he's more of a spread, run it, zone read guy, but you got to prepare for all of it. And I think that's one of the challenges of defending them. And even with Danton and Owens running their offense, they do a lot of different things on offense. I mean, they move their tight end all over the place. You know, when their tight end's on the field, I mean, they can line up in an inline tight end. They can get in empty sets. They treat him at times he's a receiver. They give you a lot to prepare for out of one personnel group. And that's one of the challenges of defending them, and then all the different guys that take snaps even makes it that much more difficult.
Thank you. Much better answer than that.
Dave, is there one area in particular that you look at as being a key to victory? I mean, whether it's turnovers, our offense, their defense, or is there something in particular that's a key?
Well, I think, you know, to me, 3 things stick out about this game that are critical. And number 1 is turnovers. And that's more our history. You know, this year when we have turned the football over, we've lost the football game. And Toledo has done as good a job as anybody in the conference this year of not turning it over. You know, so we can't, at the end of this game, we can't lose the turnover battle 2-0 or 3-0. You can't give their offense that many extra possessions. Certainly, our ability to tackle in space is going to be very important. The nature of their offense is they like to spread people out, and they like to get the ball to their playmakers in space, whether it's Page or Stafford, Reedy, William, I mean, whoever it is, they try to get their players the ball in space, and our ability to get those guys in the ground this game is going to be critical. And then I also think, you know, the third part of it is we have to be able to protect our quarterback and throw the ball. Last year, we really struggled in protection against them. You know, that we had a number of sacks, and a lot of them we had no time to get through a read and through a progression. And that has to be another place that we show improvement, is that we didn't block their front four very well last year. We didn't handle their blitz game very well, and we got to do a much better job of protecting the quarterback and giving ourselves a chance to make some plays.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah, Dave, we just talked about injuries in general. Trying to think, Roulette, do you expect him to be back?
I think his head right now is questionable. His strength has significantly improved. You know, that might be it's probably going to be a game time decision just regarding where his strength level's at. And if he's back close to full strength, we'll play him. If not, we don't want to jeopardize him losing multiple games if he's not full strength.
Is there anybody else along those lines? I'm trying to think who missed. Thank you. Keith Morgan.
Keith Morgan is back. He practiced today. He'll play.
Trust played.
Trust played. He's good to go. He's now.
How about Chip Robinson? He was in for a time, and I think, did he come out?
Well, him and Dominic Wharton split the game at the position, and Chip looked good. He looked better in the game than he had to practice. So I think we feel he's kind of getting back to full strength now. So, you know, if he was 50% 2 weeks ago and 80% last week, he's probably close to 100% now.
Anything else?